Hey y'all, this is Barbara, hippie homesteader wannabe, and I had a request from my daughter-in-law to make a sprouting tutorial. So anyway, this is the jar I'm using now. It's like just a regular wide-mouth quart canning jar, and I cut a piece out of plastic canvas to fit in here. I also have a piece of screen somewhere. I may have given that to the thrift shop, but anyway, I generally take my seeds and soak them first. So I thought I would put that process. I'm going to try sprouting these seeds. I was in Dollar Tree not long ago, and they had very few food seeds, you know, seeds for vegetables in their store, but they did have these. Of course, that was $1 or $1.25 for this. So I'm going to open it up and I'm going to see if there's enough for 2 batches of sprouts. I don't really want to mess with microgreens because I haven't had the best of luck with them in the past. You know what, I've got a pair of scissors here. Let's just cut them open. Normally with seeds I will do, here's what they look like. They are a variety of cabbage and kale. I usually do about a tablespoon, so I'm gonna, here, let me do this where you can see it. I'm gonna measure them in this med cup. And if there's enough, that about, nope, it's gonna be the whole thing, yeah. That's only about a tablespoon, so we'll do them all. And so the first step I do is I just use tap water. Now, if I had a reverse osmosis water purifier, I would definitely use that filtered water, but I don't. My Berkey is so slow that I don't think it's worth messing with the Berkey. So I'll let this sit. It's about 4 o'clock. I'll probably let this sit till about bedtime, and then I'll drain that water off and rinse them. And I can show that process too. So normally I just set them on a shelf and let them sit there and soak, and I'll remember that. But did y'all see this pretty stuff I had put on my window? My daughter's guy did that for me. He did a nice job. And yeah, it fixes it so that I can't look into my neighbor's bathroom anymore. So, too bad. Anyway, I'll be back. Okay. These have been soaking all day. And we drain the water off. And then I rinse them. Oh, I forgot. That water is good to use for watering plants. But this is how the rinsing goes. You just kind of swirl them around like that. Gently pour it out. And then kind of shake it so that they're, let's see if I got you, yeah, so that the seeds are all kind of spread out. Some people will prop it up and let it drain for a few minutes or even like 30 minutes, but you don't want it to get totally dry. You want it to stay a little bit wet. So that's enough probably. So I lay it on its side on a shelf all night, and then in the morning I'll rinse them again, and probably twice a day, maybe 3 times is usually all it takes. And we'll just see, they'll grow a little bit, you know, day by day. So that's where we're at. Okay, it's getting close to bedtime. This is day 2, and I thought I'd let you see up close how some of them are starting to sprout a little bit. Anyway, make sure the water's not too hot. I was just filling my dishwater. And that's basically all I do. I let the water go in through the thing and I swirl it. I make sure all of it gets wet. Sometimes they get stuck up in here and sometimes I like tap them down. There they go. They're still little. Oh, I wanted to tell you too, these were a mild mix, and their Dollar Tree also had a microgreen mix that were hot, like turnip and radish type seeds. Do you want them to stay a little bit wet? I rinsed it in the morning and I rinsed it around 3 o'clock, and now it's about 8:30. And so I get them where they're kind of spread out like that, hopefully not too much on the end, and then I just set it up on the shelf on its side like that. You want to make sure that air can get in through that end, so it's not like right up next to this thing. So there's got to be some airflow. Some people say to do it in the dark, but if they're out in the light, when they come out, they can green up, and that makes them more nutritious, I think. But so anyway, that was day 2. Okay, this is day 3, and as you can see, they're starting to sprout. A little bit hard to see in there. It doesn't look like much yet. Anyway, I might turn the water off. Make sure the worst of it gets stripped out. Mostly I'm trying to just spread them out, you know, so they've got some space between them. Anyway. Yeah, it doesn't look like, it's hard to believe they're ever going to, you know, fill that jar, but they should. Hopefully. We'll see how that works out. It's kind of an experiment, though, you know. Good morning, y'all. It's the morning of day 4, and I thought I'd show them to you, that they still don't look like much, but you can see some activity in there. And if they look a little like fuzzy, like they have white fuzz on them, it's because the roots come out first, you know, and the roots have little root hairs on them. Now, if you look at this, I don't know if you can see this, but some of them are sticking to the plastic here on the top. I noticed during the, this morning that a couple of them were stuck on the side of the jar, but you know, it doesn't really matter. Do you see some of those? The root coming out first. So anyway, we'll, I know they don't look like much. It's the 4th day from the day that I soaked them, and of course I started them in the afternoon, kind of late, about 4 o'clock or something. So that's really not going to hurt much. It's just that they need as much room, you know. Sorry, I didn't have you on the screen. Okay, that should be all right. They'll go ahead and grow. You know, the Asian people that put bean sprouts in in their cooking, we'll actually sometimes put a weight on top of them to make them stronger. So if they're all like globbed together in there, they'll still grow. So that's all for now. Hi everybody, this is early on day 5. And we'll look. Yeah, I know. I do not know, to be honest, how good this is going to work to grow these seeds that were packaged up to make microgreens. But I will say this, there's not really very many seeds in here, and I don't think you'd get a very big tray of microgreens out of them. But I thought I'd show you a little bit here. And one of the things is that sometimes you get like a little tail. I don't know, you can't see that hardly. Get a little tail of the seed coming up through the stuff. Oh, I got somebody coming up here to join me. I know, that's terrible to let my cat get on the counter. But she's been doing it. To be honest, she was the absolutely cutest kitten in the world, and she sort of got away with a lot when she was a baby. She's like probably 11 years old now or so. As you can see, I let it drip till it pretty much isn't dripping. I don't let it sit and drain for half an hour, although you may find that that works better for you. It's kind of weird how that happens. I'll lay this down for a minute. Turn this on just a little bit. If you'll notice, I've got little things that say blessings and thank you. That's so that if anybody does the dishes, they will be instantly rewarded. But she likes fresh running water, so anyway, we'll look at them. Boy, they're still little for day 5. This is the morning of day 5, but you can see a lot of green, a lot of activity in there. Trust me, they'll get bigger. They may not fill the jar. These seem to be awfully slow growing. Alfalfa is the best. Anyway, in my opinion. And I don't like big crunchy ones like lentils or something. Although I do like mung beans, because then you can put them in stir fries and stuff. But I think that's all I'm going to say for this morning. It's probably going to be 2 more days before we have, or maybe 1. Yeah, I see some good sprouts in there. A jar, the sides of the jar are distorting it a little bit. Okay, y'all, this is the morning of day, let's see, 6, I think. I sort of slacked off and didn't video yesterday. They are, like, not doing that great. So, I don't know if I'd recommend these seeds, even for growing microgreens. I'm sorry. I got a cat in front of me, that's why this is kind of difficult to... Let's see if I turn the screen around. No, I can't do that. Okay, anyway. So, here we go. So, yeah, anyway, I'll give them another couple of days. We'll see later on today if they haven't grown, and tomorrow. So, I'm pretty sure this is day 6. Yeah, usually they're more than this, like alfalfa would be. And yeah, it looks like a lot of them haven't sprouted yet. This may have been kind of a bad idea. But hey, I bought the seeds. You know, it wasn't very expensive, so I have a cat in the sink now, and she's going to get it on her head, and she ain't going to like that. Dodo. So anyway, that's where we're at in the sprout growing experiment. Okay, y'all, this is day like 9 or 10, and I do not recommend these Dollar Tree seeds for sprouting. And also, I will point out that anytime you have a mix of seeds that you're sprouting, you're going to have some that sprout early and some that are later. And so, I mean, if I worked with this and waited on it a few more days, I might get more, but I think I'm going to go ahead and eat them this morning. I like to stick them in, well, it sounds weird, but I cook up ramen noodles and then a half a package because of the calories. And I don't use the packet. I season it with Bragg's liquid aminos and nutritional yeast and a little bit of tahini, and then I like to put sprouts in or some greens. Like if I do greens, I'll put them in before I cook them. So anyway, so yeah, that's as far as we're going to go. I'm going to add a little clip at the end of this that shows how I rinse a nice batch of greens, but I'm not going to mess with recording anything like that now because, yeah, that's kind of disappointing, but we are talking about Dollar Tree. But they were $1 too, and this is all I'm getting is like a nice, I mean, they've got some grow room left in them. I don't know. But I tried covering them up to see if being in the dark would help them grow, but they haven't done much. So, yeah, not the best seeds for sprouting. Oh, I also wanted to mention that if you're growing sprouts, you do not want to use regular seeds that are like for the garden in general. Now, these were for microgreens, so I thought they would be safe, but sometimes the seeds for the garden, like kale or something, have been treated in some way. And so you want to get seeds that are specifically for sprouting. And I tell you, if you're just starting out or you've had a lot of problems with them, try alfalfa first because it really is the easiest and they taste wonderful. That's my advice. And I may do another one sometime in the future, but I'll add that rinsing footage and hopefully we'll get a decent video out of this. And appreciate you watching. Hi y'all, this is Barbara, hippie homesteader wannabe, and make sure this is working. Wanted to talk a little bit about what I do when my sprouts are ready to rinse and use. And as you can see, they're kind of white on the bottom, and then they're greener up here on the top where they've been more exposed to the light. And in this case, I've got a regular, a wide mouth quart canning jar. I got a regular lid, and then this insert here is just a piece of plastic canvas that people embroider on, you know, and make little crafts out of. And so I cut it to fit the inside of that. And so this is, each one of those seeds, you know, these are alfalfa. Each one of those seeds has a little hull, and that gets kind of, they're kind of, I don't know, unsightly and unpleasant. So what I do when they're ready to rinse and use is I like to put them in a big bowl and rinse them good, and then I'll go ahead and what I do is I separate them kind of with my fingers, kind of like, I think hairdressers do that with hair a little bit when they're washing hair sometimes, kind of separating the strands. And then you'll notice those little seed holes will kind of float to the top. And some other parts that maybe you don't want will kind of float to the bottom. So anyway, it becomes easier to separate out the good part from the part that maybe is a little less pleasant. So see if I can get this where you can see it. See how this stuff is that's the hulls. But if you have a bowl handy to put them into, which I need to get, what do I have? Yeah, I'll get a little bowl. This won't work very good, but anyway, you can kind of pull them out, shake them, and then see what you're pulling out is really nice, and it has most of that off of it. And it's perfectly acceptable to eat your sprouts right out of the jar with the hulls on them, and it's probably good fiber and stuff, but I don't particularly like them that way. And this is the way I like them. And then the way I store them is I put them in a Ziploc bag with, you know, I make sure if there's any water on them that I've drained that off. And I put them in a Ziploc bag with a folded up paper towel, and that kind of helps keep the humidity right. And then you can just pull out what you want when you want to use some, and yeah, they'll keep for, you know, several days. They'll keep growing a little bit in the fridge. And so anyway, that's a little bit of that. Thought you might like to see this water after I've pulled most of this. Here's the sprouts I've pulled mostly out. And see all of this debris down here in the bottom. And I may pick through this a little bit more and pull out a few more sprouts. But for the most part, this stuff goes in the compost, or, you know, I strain it usually and put it in the compost, or give it to the chickens or something. So anyway, that's that. That's how I clean up the sprouts when they're ready. Here they are in the plastic bag with a folded paper towel, and I kind of squeeze all the extra air out before I seal it. And then I just use them as needed.